A lot of my poems, especially in the more recent book, since I've got a little bit of recognition, were concerned about my life as a writer and how I approach things and how people approach me. And recently, this one's not been, well, this one's not in my books yet, but it's already been accepted by a magazine. It's called Dear John, concerning your most recent poem, as always, it's engaging and technically correct, but you're beginning to sound a bit one note to me. How about trying a poem that isn't about other people's poetry, or better yet, a poem that doesn't even mention poetry? I wrote back, "Hi, I'm writing to you now to let you know that I appreciate your concern for my literary safety. But poems are like cookies. Sometimes you just get cravings for one particular type. Right now I'm into chocolate chip. That being said, in taking your comments to heart, I went back and checked. I've sent you precisely 39 poems, 13 of which are about the writer's life or writing. I have no real defense for that. I'm afraid I am what I am, and I am a writer, and the only subject matter I have is me. However, that still gives you 26 other poems to consider. And you can also be happy in knowing that of those 26, there's not one mention of writing. There are also 0 unicorns, 0 fairies, 0 dappled daisies, 0 mentions of cutting my wrists, 0 use of the word life sucks, and 0 poems titled Life, Love, or Death. You can also feel confident of finding poems that talk about picking my nose, going to the fridge for a beer, and watching my dog take a dump. Thanks for your continued interest. Best always." I was on BCTV a while back, and I had to. They wanted me to cut this, so I didn't read it on the TV. It's called Some Dumb Shit. Some dumb shit the other day, in protest of the war, tried to take a page from history. He got a can of gasoline, sat down in the street, and set himself on fire. But, like I said, he was dumb and didn't know the ropes. He didn't think it through and never called the press. So there wasn't any film, no cameras took it down. I guess he thought he'd be a hero, a symbol or something. They never even found his wallet, and all he was toast. This poem, a while back, my wife and I were taking our dog to a vet in Ardmore, and there we ran into this dog that was battered. This poem came out of it, and after it was published in my most recent book, a couple of weeks ago, we're watching Oprah, and my wife's yelling, John, come here, you gotta see this, it's that dog." The dog ended up being a segment on Oprah, and this is that poem. "And all the sick, perverted bastards of the world deserve to die an awful, bloody death. I was picking my dog up at the vet today, and while I was waiting for them to bring her out, I looked over at the big white dog on my right and was shocked to see it had an ear missing. Part of its skull was gone. It looked like an old wound that had healed over, and I nodded at the owner politely and asked, 'What happened to your pooch, man? He get hit by a car or something?' 'Nah,' he said, 'she's a rescue.' 'Rescue?' 'Yeah, we found her out in the road, thrown out with her ear gone and her head half torn away.' 'What happened?' 'The cops said they see it all the time. They figured she was raised by people who fight pit bulls, and you could tell by looking at her that she's a real sweetie, and I guess when she wouldn't fight, she was probably used. Used for what? Bait.' Neither one of us said a word. I knelt down and gave her a hug and scratched her neck, and when I did, she turned real quick and gave me a great big wet sloppy kiss right on the face. And all the sick perverted bastards of the world deserve to die an awful bloody death." Just a few more here. I get this email today. Yamrus, you no-talent egotistical hack. I bought your latest book and couldn't even get halfway through it without falling asleep. You write crap. I'll have you know I've got a blog with nearly 100 readers, and I'm going to tell every one of them that your poetry sucks, and not only that, but you suck, you stupid no-talent hack. Dear Anonymous, I'm glad I was able to help you get some much-needed rest. I'll have you know that letters like yours only make me stronger. You know, it's indifference which creates the void and kills the soul. By the way, thanks for buying the book. I'm sure you'll be happy to know you helped pay for this great bottle of wine I'm having right now. I wish I could talk longer, but I've got to run. I'm feeling this uncontrollable need to piss off someone else. I guess this is from my Mickey Spillane period. A killer blonde in a drop-dead dress and Puerto Rican heels crushed out a smoke and flipped the bird to some guy who tried to make time with her. But she wouldn't fall for it, and she had no intention of inflicting the cruel and unusual punishment of her smile on him, because he was a punk and the pavement was wet and the color of the moon. There's also this big guy in a trench coat standing behind a T-bird throwing up. And even though he's ruining the look and feel of his coat, he's still trying to look like Byron. But it's just not working tonight, and he knows it, and the blonde knows it, and you know it, and I know it. And Killer Blonde's got the kind of legs that stick in your head like the 23rd Psalm, only they make more sense. And her spike heels and her red lips and her red dress and sad eyes only make you sadder and wilder and crazier as she walks away in the middle of the night, with the moon coming up and the radio on and a dog on a street somewhere barking at someone who's managed to do something or someone terribly wrong.